your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Dang, you beat me to it. Good morning.
Happy Monday from three well-rested, refreshed souls that did not make it to VRMA this year.
I know. Major FOMO. And welcome back to the show. A little surprise appearance from Mr. Slickers.
Hey,
Great to have you on.
That's what I'm here for. And, just these celebrity appearances whenever I can, make it as less frequent as possible. But, glad to grace you guys with my presence.
Wanting more, keep them guessing,
And it's a pretty special day here, Will.
It is.
Kristen and I celebrated our anniversary at the lovely W Punta Cana. Highly recommend it. It's a brand new property, all-inclusive. My first all-inclusive, by the way. And service levels in hotels are definitely a different level than what we're used to in short-term rentals. So
yeah.
There's not a big comparison, but my anniversary aside, Will, Brandy, we also have an anniversary today.
I know.
We do. It's a big one. Very excited, very thankful. It's really hard to process, I think, 5 years of running the show together, but it is GMH's 5-year anniversary. Technically yesterday, October 19th, but we're celebrating with the original trio today on the 20th because it just makes it so much more special to be able to do it live, obviously. So 5 years of running the show. It's crazy. I'm like, all right, 404. This is the 441st episode.
It's a lot of episodes.
It is a lot. It's a lot of content.
We lasted longer than most marriages. So
I know. Oh my God.
Wow.
Are we in a common law marriage? That's so exciting.
Situationship.
Let me I gotta tell my girlfriend. I'm sorry.
7 years is common law, at least where I'm from.
Yeah.
So we're almost there.
Almost.
2 more to go.
So special. No, but super cool. We've had some great moments on the show, from breaking news stories to record-breaking fundraise announcements to obviously growing the show from just the three of us to now the three of you with Jamie Lane, and of course, Steve and Sarah Dandashy. Steve Turk and Sarah Dandashy. They're not a common law couple. So, and then of course our European crew, who's still on a little bit of a summer break, but are gearing back up. So Sarah and
classic Europeans on summer vacation for 2 months.
Of course. It's like already fall and they're still, spending time in summer. But no, it's just super cool to see I would say the distance the show has gone, with the voices, with just the stories we've covered, with the brand changes, all the fun stuff. So really thankful for you guys and the voice that you guys have carried throughout the industry over the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I, my time at Romy ended, people are like, "Oh, so are you just doing the podcast now?" And I'm like,
yeah,
I would love it if this was
30 minutes once a week. Yeah, that's the job.
I could become a lady of leisure.
Well, cheers to another 5 years under Skift. Obviously, that was a big accomplishment even before our 5-year anniversary. So we're excited to continue to develop the show under Skift and to see the distance and length we could take it with them as well. So I think we have another 5 years to go, hopefully. Yeah. Just really amazing stuff. So thank you to all the listeners. Obviously, if you are watching or listening live, you guys are amazing. All of our live viewers who comment in every week, every Monday, every Wednesday, seriously makes our week, makes the whole show totally worth it to live stream. And then also for the listeners who listen on Spotify, Apple, who have left reviews, who have reached out to us at conferences, who have talked to us as if they already knew us type situation. It's always been really great. Even some fun encounters at the airport and all that good stuff. So really, really appreciative of the listeners who honestly do make the show all possible. So
yeah, I mean, listen, a guest hosting spot turned into several years. So I love that.
Pretty
the
incredible.
Longest guest host spot in history.
Seriously, we should give you a plaque.
Jamie's making a run for that though too. He joined the show because he fact checked what Will and I were talking about one day, and
on a
we
solo
invited him
show.
on, and he's back. So anyway, for those that did go to VRMA, we'd love to understand, was it better, worse, same old, same old? Curious how this year has gone, and I'm sure we'll learn a little bit more over the next week as we chat with our networks of folks, but excited to hear. Hopefully it's taking steps in the right direction after a few seemingly years of sliding, but hopefully they're turning it around.
Yeah, I did have huge FOMO, I have to say. This
100%.
is the first time I think maybe in 8 years that I hadn't gone. So, I was like, I didn't really think I was going to care that. I mean, like, I've been exhausted traveling, moving, all this stuff. I was like, I don't need to go to like another conference. And then when I saw all the pictures coming up, I was like, oh, sad. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. The FOMO is real. It was one of my first ones I've missed too. So, not in 8 years. I have not been going that long, but definitely missed out on all the fun networking because that's the best part, in my opinion. And shout out to Paul Manzi, who is now watching on YouTube because looks like our LinkedIn is not pushing through. So sorry for all of our LinkedIn viewers, but we'll get that fixed and we'll get this on the replay. And Paul Manzi says, better energy at VRMA this year seemed like a step in the right direction. So
good to hear. That's
that
awesome.
is a positive change. That's a positive change.
Well, while I was scrolling on my phone, heading down to the Dominican, I got fed some things and I screenshotted it to the GMH team. Capital One was making a push of short-term rentals right before VRMA, which is interesting timing. I'd have to assume that was probably planned so maybe people see it and talk about it. But they're offering 5x points on short-term rentals right now. So the race for market share, both on the credit card side, but also the OTA competition is heating up. And we talked about it a little bit pre-show. In the past 5 years, I've probably booked once or twice on Booking, on Airbnb, on Expedia, Vrbo. But the majority of my bookings have probably come through the credit card platforms. And I know some of those are powered by Expedia, powered by Booking, but I do think this is just the next wave of OTAs. People are booking where they have points, where they can use either all their points or some portion of it, or get better perks. Brandy, you were talking about how some perks that you get on the credit cards are better. So I think for those with a good B2B strategy like Expedia and Booking, this is this doesn't matter to them. It's fine. The customer acquisition costs are probably the same as if they were to go acquire the customer on Google. But for those that don't, like Airbnb, it's not a great sign for what's to come in the future.
Yeah, 100%. I will bring up what Brandy put into our trio or group chat is that with credit cards, if they start limiting and doing more restrictions on these perks that everyone's signing up for and paying $900 a year on, or whatever the price is, if it is lower increases, that's where it gets tricky, right? Like you get everybody enticed. It's like what all the hotel programs were back in the day. You get everyone signed up, you give all these amazing perks, and then boom, as you get popular, as the growth happens in the numbers of membership and loyalty, then the perks start dwindling because one, you can't serve that many people technically with the amount of rooms you have across countries or whatever. So then boom, now it's like, okay, why am I paying $900 a year and I don't even get a free water bottle and I can access the lounge only twice because that makes total sense for my membership. And then, it just starts becoming a part of question of value. So that's where it's like, yes, this is exciting. The OTAs do need to watch out, but the credit cards need to watch out from taking away the perks as
I know,
they get
but
popular.
then you get locked in this thing. Like, so I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve, like the Amex. That's like the big battles between them and Amex. And I got the like book that came that was all flashy, trying to basically butter me up for why this enormous increase is actually in my benefit. And it is all mine came in a very nice blue folder. It wasn't a cheap booklet. So but
Michael, you're on mute. We can't hear you, buddy.
but it's it is to your point, like it is like you get all these flashy things. And one thing I really love about the Chase travel stuff are all the hotel perks, because, room upgrades, credits or whatever. I'm curious, if they have this inclusion now of short-term rentals, I doubt they're going to be able to provide something like that. Like that kind of like, on Chase, it's called like the edit, like their select hotels, because I feel like that's a much more difficult service to provide in short-term rentals. Maybe some companies, but I don't know if STRs are going to get the like special treatment or the highlights just because of, the business model of running these different products.
Yeah. I mean, Marriott Homes and Villas has proven that if you have active audience and you have points to redeem, was it 80% of bookings on Marriott Homes and Villas are points? And that was what, 5 to 10% of your reservations, Brandy? So like
Yeah, at one point it was like almost 5.
it became a fairly meaningful channel. And that whole channel is just loyalty points. So it's
big, but then they don't have, when you have like status, like but when people would show up and be like, I'm a diamond medallion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't, there's nothing extra for you here. So I remember, especially in the beginning, there was this big like disconnect and education. Like it doesn't matter what their status is. Like we don't really see that information necessarily. And like, we don't have other services to provide. So it's also making sure that the people know that booking. But I think that that education has really taken off, because as you said, like so many people continue to book that way. And if they didn't appreciate the value of that product offering, it wouldn't be, as popular.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, leading into Skift Global Forum in New York, I was walking to get a coffee with Jason, our chief product officer and co-founder of Skift, and kind of talking about like how distribution is really changing, right? Obviously through credit cards being a big game player now, but the piece that I find really interesting is the points redemption, and the amount of usage of points is really becoming not a step into crypto, but a step into digital currency, where I think we're going to see points become actually a huge player in the way Americans, at least, I can't say for other countries, but the way Americans actually start spending. Obviously, it's a lot harder to earn points, but I think over time, as every kind of sector of different industries get into loyalty, redemption, points, gamifying the system, that's where we're going to see a lot of this being actually used more than just travel, more than just flights, more than just, hotels and vacation rentals. But Capital One giving you 5x return on STRs is like a first step. Because especially some of these short-term rentals, Brandy, you were just here in Colorado staying at a Moving Mountains property. Those are not
shout
cheap.
out to the Moving Mountains team. Beautiful,
100%.
beautiful homes.
100%, but they're not cheap. So imagine, spending $10,000 for 3 nights and then you're getting 5x points. Like, not a bad deal. Not a bad deal at all.
Not bad. I do think the points system is more an American thing than it is a popular thing globally. Whenever I talked about airline status when I lived in Europe, everyone looked at you cross-eyed. It's just not a thing.
Credit cards aren't as popular outside the United States.
Credit cards aren't as popular, so points in general. But one thing that the CEO of Amex said on their earnings that kind of jumped out to me, and we chatted about it again briefly pre-going live. But the CEO said part of why they've done so well in the last quarter was they jumped 9% year over year because of strong retail spending and a bounce back in travel. Well, strong retail spending, okay. I haven't talked to too many people that are seeing like a 9% bounce in travel.
Yeah, that's not the vibe I've been getting.
If anything, it's the other way. So maybe the 9% was 11% bounce in consumer spending and only a negative 2 on travel. But the other thought is people are actually booking a lot more on Amex because they're using their points to book the travel, and consumer spending on travel is down, but point redemption, people still want to travel. They save up those points and a trip comes up that they want to do, they go do it. So that was an interesting one. But Jamie, if you're listening, would love to know the actual travel industry-wide uptick or downturn. on consumer spending.
Jamie's screaming at his phone somewhere as he listens to this. But I think that's also taps into like the broader
Screaming for
trend
the
of like
data.
people who are already wealthy, that like top percentage of people who are really driving a lot of consumer spending, like that's where this big chunk is. But then when you need people, like those people can't book all the hotel rooms, those people can't book all the STRs, so it will but now we're starting to go into, especially in the mountain areas, like ski seasons, like the high winter high season. So it'll be interesting to see how their booking trends go and see if those like big expensive homes are getting sold. Hopefully they do. And again, if anyone, just needs someone to come and watch the house during ski season, volunteering.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I thought the interesting part about the Amex points redemption piece was that it was more of an increase in restaurants than it was flights or lodging. So obviously that's the low-hanging fruit, where the ultra wealthy or the wealthy don't always have like the spending power, right? Like middle class people, even in some lower class, economic standards, definitely are spending money on restaurants. They're definitely spending money on the dining out experience, whether it's a fancy restaurant or not. So I'm not
like
surprised.
DoorDash, everybody's
Exactly.
getting delivery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We all have a lazy day at least once a week where maybe some Thai food is delivered. So
that's all good.
Yeah.
And one other interesting thing, Amex we view as the juggernaut, but Chase actually had about $1 billion more in sales in 2024 than Amex did on the travel booking sites. So pretty significant. And those two eating into the OTAs theoretically, or also driving business to the OTAs, because Amex Travel is powered by Expedia. So everyone kind of wins in that case. And those are the types of deals you look for all around. The traveler gets to redeem their points. Amex earns their share. Expedia earns their share, and property management company or hotel gets more bookings.
100%. I loved, just to wrap up on a nice note from this article that Dennis wrote about Chase and Amex, is the skiff take is, if you think the competition between Airbnb and Booking.com is hot, what about the rivalry between American Express Travel and Chase Travel? You'll be hearing lots more about this in the coming years. And I think that was a great hot take in the terms of, we talk a lot about the OTAs on the show, but the credit cards, they are the ones to watch.
20 billion in bookings, but more than between those two. So I'm here for it. So moving on, Airbnb, we can't have a show without talking about one of the OTAs.
100%.
And today's going to be Airbnb. Airbnb getting involved in politics is nothing new, but Airbnb donating to local coalitions and PACs is becoming an increasing trend. They know their whole business is short-term rentals right now, and they have to protect it. And local municipalities are getting tired of short-term rentals. This ebb and flow happens. They get tired of it. They ban it. They realize they lost millions of dollars of tax revenue. They open it back up, and this pendulum just keeps swinging and swinging and swinging. In Arizona, the state is pushing to get rid of their statewide law that basically only the state can make the rules, not the local municipalities. But the state is looking to break that up and let local municipalities choose how they want to regulate short-term rentals. And this creates problems because a lot of the high-end neighborhoods, the great communities that people want to go stay in for their vacation, are in neighborhoods that people don't want to live next door to a short-term rental. So Airbnb has started its own little coalition. I wish they would just join in, quite frankly, with other folks in the industry, not go do their own thing. I wish we could, as one, work through a rent responsibly, let the local leaders determine what's best for their community, and not have an OTA come in and tell them what needs to happen. Because we've seen this time and time again where Airbnb comes in, makes rules that are kind of only beneficial to Airbnb and single hosts, not professional hosts. and it leaves everybody behind. So this coming on the tail end of the professional host meetup that Airbnb did is interesting. I do, again, hope that they get more involved. In politics is a good thing as long as they're on the local community team and not playing in their own sandbox.
Well, I think that also plays optically. Like if you have a local organization pushing for certain types of regulations, and especially, that I think has that's optically a bit better than like the big OTA coming in and being like, this is what we say you should do. This is what's best for your town.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have people from the town or people from the county, whatever, that are like, in my community, this is what we want to see, I think that is a much better strategy.
100%. And I was going to say, the rent responsibilities, obviously, but the local organizations that they work with on the ground, right? Like I know Jonathan Wicks is president of the Arizona Association. I can't remember the exact name because they're all some kind of like a STR type mix of it. But, I'd love to hear what they're thinking actually on the ground. Also John Hildebrand, who is very, very much an active voice in the Arizona regulation kind of STR space. It does get to the point where I'm in the boat with Michael. I think it's great that they created their own little org to obviously kind of show their dominance, but they do miss out on the big opportunity of working with the people that have actually been doing this for a lot longer than they have in that specific area. So, obviously coming together, finding one unified front, that is how short-term rentals, actually get the place of or the piece of the pie that they deserve.
And Arizona is a huge market. I mean, top 5 state for the OTAs for sure. So this will definitely have the attention of Vrbo Expedia's team, the rent responsibly team, and obviously Airbnb. The big question is, can Airbnb play with others in the sand? And
well, as Paul Manzi's comment shows, advocacy for me, but not for thee by Airbnb.
That has been the trend. It has been the trend we've seen for a decade. But I'm hoping, maybe woefully optimistically, that since their recent acknowledgement that pro hosts exist, that they will start to work with them in some way, shape, or form. But I will leave that to them. That is a fight that will be an interesting one for us to follow, because I believe Florida is the same way, that it's a statewide preemption where local municipalities, unless it preceded the preemption, can't change the rules.
Well, but the other thing about Florida, especially in South Florida, is you have all these little fiefdoms. Like in Miami, for example, it's not just like Miami. There's North Bay Village, there's Miami Shores, and that's like you get into these little fiefdoms that all have their own rules. And I mean, we spent you try to follow the rules, but then they change them, and you like in some cases you could you could push back, but it requires like a huge lawsuit against a municipality. And so it's like, do you have the financial and like emotional bandwidth to do that? But yeah, it's really tough. And I was in Steamboat last week, and just these different markets that all, Colorado was in the news a lot last year for different regulation. And it's just seeing how much these communities really depend on the industry. And you're like, just please like make some sensible regulation that helps everyone. You want to keep these communities, happy, but you also need them to like have tourism come in and support them.
In order to live like a local, there needs to be locals there.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Very well said. Yeah, it's crazy, but hopefully this is not hopefully, this is definitely a story we have to follow up on. Gonna have to watch closely. I think we're gonna need like a whiteboard one of these days to start like pinning the stories we need to keep following up on if we're gonna be good journalists and carry the skiff flag. But as producer, I will make sure we're tracking.
It's your job to go back through now and listen to all of this.
I know, gosh. Download the transcripts now.
Yeah. But we the airlines have been in the headlines a lot recently. But before we wrap, not that they're listening, but just got to give United a shout out. My flights from Boston to Steamboat, like everything was smooth and seamless. Their customer experience for like communication and their text messages and all of that was very, very good. Probably better than any of the other airlines I've flown recently.
Yeah.
Since we're usually harping on them all the time, I just wanted to say I had a great experience.
I will
So
say their app is the best. Like the fact that it tracks you from like not tracks you, but it has like that great tracking feature, especially if you have luggage.
Yep.
I think it's or checked bags. It's great. It's definitely dominant.
no delays, which
No
is
delays.
really great.
Yeah, that's a surprise. I was going to ask, any of you guys have delays with any of the
No.
government shutdown stuff?
I had delays in LaGuardia coming back to Boston, but that's because of weather. There was like a tail end of a hurricane, so 5-hour delay.
They had more machines out checking passports coming back in than I've normally seen. So not great if you're a TSA agent and you're on the customs side, but it's way faster just putting your passport down and walking straight on through.
I mean, the EU's been doing that for a long time. Like
It's
I haven't
pretty
had a
common
person
everywhere.
check. Yeah, it's like we're like one of the last men standing having people check your passports.
Yeah, and it goes so much faster that way.
Yeah.
So checking in London, and they have like all of their little kiosks. It just seems logical, but
Yeah,
we'll get there eventually. We'll get there.
we'll catch up. Well, great. Go. I was just gonna say, great 5-year anniversary episode.
Let's see if we can purposely talk over each other.
No, this is good. It's good to be back on, and especially for such a special episode. So thanks for making it fun. And of course, shout out to Paul, who was the one live viewer commenting in, even though we saw many of you viewing. So don't be afraid to send in your comments. But yeah, great 5-year anniversary episode. Couldn't have asked for it to go any better.
Yeah, very. And we're glad to have you back on. Love a little surprise will host.
Yeah.
And Jamie, I hope you're getting really tan in Jamaica.
Yeah, jealous.
And
so jealous.
And maybe next week we'll have a VRMA recap with Jamie.
Yeah, and definitely for our listeners, even if you didn't comment in live, we would love to get the general sentiment for how people felt about VRMA. I know there was a lot of talk before the conference of like, is this worth it anymore for the price? So we want to just have a recap on that and get your genuine thoughts and feelings.
100%. Well, like always, make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast channel or platform. And if you haven't already, go to skift.com, sign up for any newsletters and subscriptions there if you haven't already, because guess what? Big exciting things coming in 2026, as we will have some exclusive only Skift episodes and some other breaking news stories to cover behind the scenes. So shout out to you guys. And of course, like always, we'll see you again next week.